love to answer any questions. So if anyone's out there who would like to find out more, feel free to type in the chat box or unmute yourself for a moment, and Matt and I will do our best to answer your questions. Thank you. Why not use PV and a hybrid? What was that? I didn't quite get the question.
Okay, why not use PV and a solar hybrid water heater instead?
So a solar hybrid water heater, are you I think they might be referring to a heat pump water heater perhaps? So if it is a heat pump water heater, so heat pump water heaters are very good in some situations. If you don't have too many people in the house and you have a lot of good space around the heat pump, it can do pretty well. But remember, you don't have a huge amount of water reserve from the heat pump. What it does is, as soon as it runs out of that, it goes to electric resistance. And so once it's hit electric resistance, now you're into using a tremendous amount of your solar PV to heat that water. It takes several hours to recover in heat pump mode. So it's the one little thing that folks don't tell you about heat pump water heaters. If you put, if you did some work with monitoring on the heat pump water heaters, you see that they're, depending on the family, sometimes in electric resistance mode a tremendous amount of the time. So what we say is use, excuse me, use the solar thermal to preheat the heat pump water heater. And we do this in many situations. And then now if your solar hot water can't do it and your heat pump can't do it, now you have your PV to handle that little bit now and then that's needed. So that's really what you want to try to do. You don't, it takes so much PV to heat water that it's extremely expensive, it's not cost effective, and it uses a lot of roof space. So better to use it for, you know, other applications than that.
Great, thank you.
I hope that helps.
Thank you, Erica. The next question is, if you are starting from scratch and only have electric, what would be the most efficient setup in combination with heat pump, or could an on-demand electric work? Maybe are those two questions, or maybe you just, or?
No, that's good. I mean, I think generally speaking, it's tying back to my last answer. I think if you like the heat pump water heaters, I would tend to go with the solar hot water and the heat pump water heater. You could also, cost-wise, you can also do the solar hot water single tank system where you have an electric element in the top of it, which is backed up by your solar PV if you're going to do solar PV. So either one would be good. The heat pump, the heat pumps are cheaper to run when they're in heat pump mode. There is a little bit of maintenance on them. So you just have to keep that in mind, and there's a bit of upfront cost installing them. So for many people, you can get, when you get the solar hot water, the electric elements included in that package, all you need to do is get an electrician to wire it. So it's quite inexpensive. So, you know, so we would look at your house and see which application might be best for you. But those are two options. The on-demands, they're okay. I'm not quite as fond of them. But certainly you can, you know, keep it on the table and take a look at that option too.
Okay, the same person asked, so the holding tank has a heating element. How long does the tank last?
Sure. So we use a special tank by Rheem, and yes, it has a heating element and a 4,500 watt heating element. The tank itself has a 10-year warranty. We do not see any issues in most of our tanks, very rarely, before about 15 years. We find that they last a bit longer than even the stainless steel tanks, because there's 2 anode rods in there. And if you do have really bad water, when we come in and do our regular maintenance service, every couple, 3 years, we can flush your tank, and that really extends the life of it. So, and remember, part of all of that, you get tax credit on that tank that you're getting because it's part of the solar. So it's a great deal.
That is a good deal. Okay. So the next question is, do you file the paperwork for the state rebates, or is it up to the homeowner to figure it out?
Oh, great question. No, we would never make you figure that out. We do that for you. There's a couple forms that we need to get you to sign, and we take care of all of that paperwork. Goodness, yes. And for the alternative energy credits as well, we take care of all of that paperwork. We have a really nice guide to help you secure the Mass Save financing. We of course can't go to the bank and do it for you, but we give you everything that you need to make that happen. And the tax credits, we give you the invoices that you need to file the proper paperwork so that you get that tax credit.
And if I could just add, the Mass Save loan needs to start with a Mass Save energy audit. So everybody who's thinking possibly of doing it should get their audit. And if they haven't, if they've done it recently, that's fine, but they should probably get an appointment to get that going, so they can then get the loan when they're ready to do a program.
That's a good point. Thank you. Yeah, when you want to do this, it's okay if you don't know entirely how to do this, all of this. Because these installers know how to do all of this. They do this every day. And so, you just ask them the questions you need to ask, and they will help you. This, it is really wonderful that the different technologies can work together, and you can really combine to kind of boost your energy savings as well as your sustainability and your carbon footprint. That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And this, it's really wonderful being able to have all these different technologies at our fingertips from reliable installers. Oh, here we go. Do you have to implement, here's a question. Do you have to implement the Mass Save recommendations to get the rebates?
No, you absolutely do not. When you do the audit, you tell them that you are interested in the heat loan, and you can just call our office or call Matt, and we'll remind you of all this, so that you don't, but you tell them you're interested in the heat loan, and they will give you the paperwork for the heat loan, and then you just give us that verification number, and we'll carry it on from there. So it's in a packet. They'll give you a folder with, if they think you should have insulation or all the things that they recommend, they'll give you a folder with all of that. You do not have to purchase that from them. You can take their light bulbs, right? Might as well, and those types of things. But certainly you don't have to do make any of their recommendations.
Okay, great. So all of these, one of the questions that we had last night or night before last was, how long is this program going to go? It's not entirely clear because with the COVID pandemic, it's not quite, and our having so many technologies to line up and organize and to get everything, the program ready to launch, which we are doing now. We're not quite sure exactly how this is going to play out, but we probably will be, there will be a limited time for this program. There will be an end to this program, and it's not forever. So if you want, especially if you want to take advantage of the federal tax credits, you really want to do that sooner rather than later, because it's 26% for the year 2020. And as of 2021, it will go down to 22%. So it really does behoove people to move sooner rather than later on pursuing any of these technologies, so that they can really take advantage
If I could just add something to that, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
There's also going to be a change in the first of the year with the clean energy for the solar hot water rebate specifically, with the clean energy centers rebate and with the alternative energy credits. Things will be shifting around. So what I sort of talked about today is probably all good through December, but we're not 100% clear what's happening in January as far as what the rebates will look like. So I mean, there will be rebates, but it will change. So I think the Clean Energy Center is stepping down from rebates, and then the alternative energy credits might be going up. You know, there's movement here. So as long as you're signed up and all, you know, we're good. But just so that will make a difference to people, because that's quite a chunk of money.
Yeah.
Just ask us, because we know the latest. We're always trying to learn and understand day to day what's happening. So just let us know and we'll let you know.
Yeah, yes, it is in your interest to know exactly what's available and what's possible. So, so yeah. So I encourage you, you know, if you're interested, take a look at the website, go to solarize.mendon-upton.com, check out all the information, look at this video again once it's up on the website again, or once it's up on the website, and you know, and you can click on the technologies that you're interested in, take a look at them, and when you are ready to, you're ready to ask more questions and perhaps consider having a consultation. You know, you go to the technology, and you either, I mean, the RES Solar did provide their website for you at the end of their presentation, but we also have the website, a link to their website, to a dedicated page to for this program, for the Solarize Mass Plus program, to go to each of the installers. So you know, they will know that, oh, you're interested because, and you came from the Solarize Mass Plus program, so that, you know, they're attuned to that, and it's an important piece of information for them to have. So you know, if you have any further questions, you're welcome to ask more.
There are two more, Carolyn.
Okay, go for it.
Elena actually said there's an older roof but aren't ready to replace it. How viable would it be to get a solar hot water system?
So you said there was an older roof?
Older roof, not ready to replace the older roof just yet. How viable would it be to put a system in?
So what people do if they don't want to replace the whole roof, solar hot water generally only takes between 80 and 100 square feet of roof space. So either, you know, they can kind of do two things. They can either replace that portion of the roof, and then we put the solar on so that there's, you know, that's all set for when they're ready. Or you can put the system up. If you're going to wait about 5 years or so, that's good. If you're going to do it like next year, I would recommend, you know, at least doing that portion of the roof that's underneath, going to be underneath the solar.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then there's another question. How many days does it take to install a typical system?
Oh, great question. Yeah, they're very quick. Usually 2 days is all we need. It takes a while to get organized, you know, between permitting and paperwork and all of that, but the actual install is about 2 days. We try to be pretty efficient. And, you know, when it comes to COVID, we follow all the CDC guidelines. So we are very careful as a company, both for our staff and for our customers. So we will work with you. You know, of course, a significant amount of the work is on the roof, but there's also work to be done in the basement, perhaps, or a pipe chase. And so we will work with you depending on your particular situation to make certain that everybody is comfortable as we move forward.
And just to, if I could add to that, when you call and are looking to possibly put in a system, I'll answer any questions you have over the phone. We'll look at your house online. Sometimes I'll have a customer send me photos of their roof and basement. So we can do a lot of things online, really to get to that point where we're like, all right, I understand what the system's about, cost is fine, and then we'll set up a site visit and make sure we take the precautions before showing up.
Yeah, yeah. So if there are any other questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. And I see we have an additional participant. I'm sorry you were not able to make it for the whole presentation, but we have recorded this, and Elena will be putting it up on the website, the Solarize Mendon-Upton.com website, at each, for each of the presentations for the technologies. So you can check them all out at your leisure and read them, look at them over and over and over again, because there's a lot of overwhelming technology to understand and learn, and to compare and to evaluate for yourself how important is it for you to have. So here's a question. Do you always have to place the collectors on the roof, or can they be more remotely mounted in a clear area?
Oh, we can definitely do a ground mount, absolutely. They're very common and work quite well. We look carefully with a shade analysis tool that we have to make certain that that trees aren't blocking, and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, that works great. And then we'll just look at how we're going to get over to the basement from that spot in the yard. From there, it's really the same as any other system. So yeah, great. They're great.
Yeah, every home is different.
Yeah.
Every family's need is different, and it's really dizzying. So that's why we're really wanting to make sure that you have all the information you need, and I would encourage you to consider some of the other technologies, because there's so much to learn, and there are pieces that you learn at one presentation that help you to understand another installer's potential, and to understand how they can coordinate together and how they complement each other. So just don't write any of these things off. Don't write any of them off, because they're all amazing, and you have to decide, get all the quotes that you want to get, because you never know exactly how it's going to play out. It's hard to evaluate without taking a leap and having a conversation with them. So I encourage you to do that. This is our opportunity, and these are well-vetted installers, and they're happy to talk with you and answer your questions and work through all the paperwork to understand what are the final costs. There's so many different variables about how to assess what direction you want to go in, and cost is one of them. And so we have some systems, some technologies are significantly more expensive than others, and you have to kind of evaluate, where are you in what you want to accomplish, how do you get the biggest bang for your buck in terms of saving money and reducing your carbon footprint, so that you can make the right decision for yourself.
Carolyn, I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
As far as fossil fuel in Mendon-Upton, do you have a lot of oil users, a lot of gas users, a lot of electric? What's sort of the balance there?
It's mostly oil and propane.
It is, okay.
Yeah, we don't really have natural gas in Mendon. We don't have the pipes.
Yeah. Well, that's actually perfect for solar hot water, because I think Erica could probably contest that. We can offset a couple trips of filling up that oil tank just by, adding a solar hot water system to your home, as we sort of equate how that works out.
And oil and propane are among the more expensive fossil fuels to use to heat your home. And so, this is we Mendon-Upton are ripe to really make significant progress in sustainability.
That's fantastic, because if our systems cost, $4,500 maybe at the bottom line, and you're saving, goodness, I mean, your payback is so fast when you save that kind of money with propane and oil.
Mm-hmm.
Be under 5 years for sure.
Mm.
Oh, here's one question from someone. Do you ever encounter in scenarios where you may have to go under bodies of water?
Oh.
Wow.
I
heard every question. That's a great one. Under bodies of water. Well, it's certainly possible. It might get a bit expensive. I'd kind of need to know what bodies of water.
Probably a stream.
Probably a stream. Yeah. We can use PVC pipe with insulated copper through it with conduit. Of course, we could do it if we needed to.
I mean, the only other real big body of water in Mendon is the Nipmuc Pond. And
Yeah.
There are a number of homes all around the pond. And I don't know if that person, this participant has that in mind, but, here we go. So here we go. There's more here. Panels cannot go on the house, but the garage is perfect. The brook separates the house and the garage.
Ah, okay. I'd certainly want to look at it. It'd be very interesting. We can certainly use garages. It would really depend on the type of soil that we had and how we were able to get under. What the water table looks like. There'd be a lot of considerations there. But I bet you know your property, whoever asked that question. So yeah, no, I'd love to talk about that.
Okay, next question. What problems do seasonality cause? Sun angle, length of day, overheating of the panels?
Sure. So our design for our systems is what is called Drainback, which means that there are no issues with overheating anymore. It's why we started doing Drainback about 7 years ago, and really now we don't hardly ever do anything else. What that means really is quite simple. When the tank or your storage tank, whatever size that is up to temperature, say we take it to 150 degrees and that's where it stops, the pump turns off using a differential controller and a relay. Pump turns off, and all the glycol, which is our heat transfer fluid, drains back down into a holding tank, is what we call a drain back tank. And there it stays, off the roof, safe from overheating, safe from expansion, safe from pH degradation. I could go on and on about the issues in closed loop systems. This has changed the game for people. They go away for a month, it doesn't matter, make any difference. The pump just doesn't come on. All you have left up there on the roof is glass and copper. It's perfectly capable of handling the sun all day. The problem with solar hot water was that glycol getting too hot and expanding. And so with that problem gone, we really don't see any issues anymore. And there's fewer components, which has been great. So remember, the systems work all year round, right? So now you don't have to worry so much about having a system that's properly sized, because you can have 3 collectors up there, because you don't need to worry about overheating in the summer.
Here's another question. What is the power consumption of the glycol pumping system?
Huh? Sure.
I don't know if this, I'll read you the whole thing and we can take it apart if you want. In a fully off-grid home with solar PV for electricity, every watt hour counts.
It does, for sure. If your typical runtime on a solar pump is about 4 hours, 5 hours in a day when your tank is satisfied or up to temperature. Sometimes 6 hours if you use a lot of hot water. We use a 2-pump system. One is what's known as the priming pump, generally a 26-100 or 15-100. A Grundfos, it uses about 140 watts. And then that drops away to an alpha Grundfos, which the alpha uses 20. This is an ECM motor, an ECM pump. It's the highest efficient pumps there is, and you're seeing a lot of industry moving towards these now. A lot of building management systems are all running with ECMs now because it reduces the amount of electrical costs consumption in pumps. You're right to ask this because pumps are a big, quiet little energy user in houses. You know, sump pumps, septic pumps, they're all sort of around. You don't even realize you have them. And they do use a lot of energy. So that's why we when we can, we use the 2-pump system.
Okay, here's another question. Do you use evacuated tubes or just flat plate?
Sure. We use both. They're both excellent collectors. They're just very different application-wise, right? So evacuated tubes produce a little bit more in the winter. So if you want us to heat your radiant floors, I'd probably lean towards the tubes. But if it's year-round water heating, flat plates are tremendous. They're very low maintenance. They last forever. Tubes take a little bit of fooling around with. You got to pay attention to the heat pipes, and you know, you might lose vacuum in one of the glass tubes now and then. So that, you know, there's a touch of maintenance on them that you wouldn't, you know, unless the particular space on the roof was such that we really had to put tubes up. I would go with flat plates for hot water and tubes for heating. Generally, that's what we do.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. So it's just a couple more minutes before the hour. So
Yep.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
We just did 8 racks of tubes, which is a very large system at a home out in Princeton. And they are heating 2,000 square feet of radiant floor with it. So,
Wow.
so there's some really exciting things going on out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, you know, it is wonderful that you are not, you know, it's useful to know that radiant heat is, or radiant floors is also a really good candidate because it certainly is the most, one of the more efficient ways to heat a home. And it's lovely that this technology is flexible enough to be able to accommodate it. That's great. So thank you very much, both Erica and Matt, for making your presentation and answering all our questions. And thank you all for coming and asking good questions and being interested in what you might be able to accomplish with your homes and your businesses. So please, again, check out the SolarizeMendon-Upton.com website to be able to look at all the technologies, check them all out. Look at the, you know, look at all the financial incentives, you know, begin to get an idea of what the differences are, and then just go for it and just ask, you know, ask for a consultation. There's no harm in it. You know, it's all you're doing is asking questions, and you'll get a quote, and then you'll get you'll get a sense of where things stand and what you want to do. So I encourage you all very much to take advantage of the program sooner rather than later. As I said earlier about the federal tax credit going down as of after December 31st. So down to from 26% currently to down to 22%. So you know, that adds all up. You know, it's important to keep that in mind when you're making your financial decisions on how you're going to improve your homes. So thank you so much for everybody for coming. and appreciate your coming. And you'll see these all these different presentations up on the website just as soon as Elena is able to kind of put it all together and make it all happen. So you can you need to give her a couple days, a few days. So, but she's doing a great job of sharing all this information with us so that we can evaluate what we want to do. So thank you again, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Erica, and thank you, Matt. And have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.